We're about to dive into a philosophy that was forged in the fire of an absolutely brutal childhood. This isn't your typical self-help talk. It's about completely rewiring how you think. And it all kicks off with one very simple, very direct question.
No, really, think about it. Are you? Because according to David Goggins, the guy whose life we're about to break down, most of us are just coasting. We're living life with the emergency brake pulled and we don't even know it. He actually puts a number on it. 40%. That's the limit he says most of us hit before we just stop. You know the feeling, right? You get tired, things get uncomfortable, and you quit. Totally convinced you've given it your all. But what if that feeling isn't even half of what you're truly capable of?
And that right there is the core of it. The real tragedy isn't the struggle. It's all that incredible potential we just let go to waste. So where in the world does a mindset this intense come from? Well, it starts with a life that, by all rights, should have ended in total failure. To really get this guy, you have to understand the hell he climbed out of. And his story starts in a place that looked, at least from the outside, like the perfect American dream. I mean, the Goggins family lived on a street literally named Paradise Road, in a nice part of New York. They had the big house, a Rolls Royce, a Mercedes, the whole deal. They looked like the poster family for success. But looks can be very deceiving.
And boom, that one quote just shatters the whole illusion. Because behind the closed doors on so-called Paradise Road, Goggins' childhood was nothing but a nightmare of abuse and forced labor, all orchestrated by his own father.
You see, his father, Trunis, was this local celebrity who owned a popular roller rink. But for David and his brother, that rink was basically a slave labor camp. They'd work all night, every night, for no pay, and any tiny mistake was met with just horrific violence. At one point, his mother finally called the cops after a really bad beating, and they just took one look at the nice house, listened to his charming father, and left. They left a little boy with no way out. So they had to save themselves. One day, his mom, Jackie, she just couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed David and his brother, threw them in the car, and just drove. They fled all the way from New York to a tiny town in Indiana. They had finally escaped hell, but a completely different set of problems was waiting for them. So he was finally free from his father. But now Goggins had to face the deep scars that were left behind. He was dealing with severe trauma, he was failing in school, and he was staring down the barrel of ugly racism in his new town. The years of abuse had literally taken a physical toll on him, a condition called toxic stress. He started stuttering, his hair was falling out, his skin was blotchy, and he could barely read. To make matters worse, he was the only black kid in his entire school, a total outcast. So to avoid getting put in special ed, he learned a new skill: cheating. He cheated on homework, on tests, on pretty much everything just to get by. And this wasn't just kids being mean. The KKK was active, like right down the road. One day, he opened his school workbook to find a drawing of him being lynched with a message that said, "Niger, we're going to kill you." He was living in a state of constant fear. So his answer to all this pressure, school, racism, everything, was to take the easy way out. He thought he was being smart, finding a shortcut through the system by cheating. But that path, well, it was leading him straight to a dead end. And here's the proof. This is his actual transcript from his junior year. A D average. He was ranked 211th out of 255 kids. All the cheating, all those shortcuts, ended right here. Complete and total failure. And that's when it finally hit him. He wasn't beating some system. The system didn't care about him. The only person he was fooling, the only person he was really hurting, was himself. Then came the knockout punch. A letter from the school arrived saying that with his grades, he wasn't going to graduate. His one and only dream, to escape everything by joining the Air Force, was officially dead. This was it. Rock bottom. And it's right here at this absolute lowest point that the whole story flips. This is the moment Goggins stops being a victim of his life and starts taking brutal, total ownership of it. And it all started with a conversation he had with himself in a mirror. One night after getting that letter, he just stood in front of his bathroom mirror and let himself have it. He told himself every single hard truth. That he was failing, that he was a joke, that he was a lazy. He just stopped making excuses and realized that if his life was ever going to change, he was the only one who could do it.
And from that night on, a ritual was born. He started writing his goals on little post-it notes and sticking them to the mirror. Simple stuff at first, like make your bed, but then the goals got bigger. Every single day, that mirror showed him not just his reflection, but his promises to himself. It was a simple but incredibly powerful system for accountability.
Now, the accountability mirror isn't about positive affirmations. It's not about looking at yourself and saying, you're great. It's about brutal honesty. It's about saying, you're overweight if you're overweight, or you're lazy if you're being lazy. Not to beat yourself up, but to tell yourself the truth so you can finally start fixing the real problem.
And that, of course, brings it all back to you. What truths have you been avoiding? What are the little lies and excuses you tell yourself every day? The bad hand you were dealt? Yeah, that's real. But Goggins' story proves that it doesn't have to be your excuse. It can actually become your fuel. Ultimately, the philosophy Goggins built is all about declaring war, not on the world, not on other people, but on that soft, comfortable, excuse-making voice inside your own head. It's about choosing to be uncomfortable, choosing the hard truth, and finding out what you're really made of, what lies beyond that 40%. The real question isn't just if you can do it, it's, are you willing to start?